All right, you are tuned in to the BS3 Radio YouTube channel. Every single week, we talk a different topic, something new every week. Yesterday was Father's Day, so we're definitely going to allow the fathers to talk about their Father's Day. Also, shout out to all the dads. Every person that's a guy that's a dad, shout out to you, man. Being a dad is just different. It's pride that you have in seeing what your kids do and how they take what you give them. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But Tyon, I wanted all the dads that's on right now just to share. How was your Father's Day and what would you do?
Man, my Father's Day was excellent. I can't complain at all. I spent some time relaxing, of course, because, Father's Day is probably the one day that you actually get to relax. But I spent some time relaxing, spent some time with the kids. A lot of the kids kind of like jump all over me and stuff like that, which they normally do too as well. Ate some gumbo. Got a chance to do a little bit of gaming, not as much as I would like to. But, overall, I can't complain, man. It was a beautiful day. They gave me some beautiful cards. Very, very creative. I think my daughter picked out this card. She's 13, by the way. She picked out this card where the words was just like so impactful that I was just like, Jesus, like she's really thoughtful in like what she's doing now. So I really like that.
That's awesome, man. And when your kids do something that you start tearing up, and you start like, oh, this one got me right here. That's that special moment right there, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll talk about your Father's Day. I know you're a dad as well.
Well, my Father's Day was a little bit different. I had to work this weekend, so I didn't get off. I didn't get off till 5 a.m. at my job, and then had to go back in at 5 the next night. But just the phone calls from my daughter and just the experiences, because when my daughter was born in the first couple of years in her life, I wasn't there as a father. So now being able to build that relationship and take the time to spend time with her and to really invest in her and things in that nature, is mind-boggling. And a couple of weeks ago, she came to visit me because of COVID-19. I'm able to see her a little bit more now every other week. And she came and visited me, and she just told me, she said, Dad, I miss going places with you because we can't go any place right now. We can't go to the movies like we used to go to the movies. We can't go out of town. So just that building a relationship with her, even after the years that I wasn't there as a father, meant a lot. And for her to still call me and say, hey, happy Father's Day, Dad, I love you, that just meant the world to me. Like, yo, I'm impacting her life in that particular way. So those fathers who weren't there for their kids and struggling being in their child's life, it's never too late. It's never too late to go and admit that you're wrong and you made mistakes and you was dealing with different pain and hurt. Every child needs their father, boy or girl.
Yeah, man, that's real right there. That's real talk. I mean, that's a lot of some things that we have to realize as dads, and some things that we go through, some things our kids go through. So, Al, man, I appreciate you for speaking about that. Courtney, I know you're not a dad yet, are you?
Not yet. Nope. Not yet.
Okay. So you got some nieces and nephews, or you celebrated or something like that. So
yeah. Every year, my nieces and nephews. Some of them are older now. I think the oldest is 22. Yeah, 22 years old. So I got like 22, 21, 20, 19. Mm-hmm. But when me and my wife were living in upstate New York before we moved here, we took care of them. Like, they was always over our house. I mean, they literally, we took care of them, and we put a huge impact in their lives. And they always call and say Happy Father's Day every single year. So so that always means a lot. So they always give me something. They always give me a phone call. Like this time around, my mom even says, because she said, you have such an impact in your niece and nephew's life. She said, you're a father. You're a mentor. You're a father. You coached them. You did everything with these kids, even when they were younger. So my mom and my mother-in-law always gives me something, gives me a present and everything. So this weekend I had a great Father's Day weekend. Got to go out to eat, or actually got to food. We had food brought in here, had to order food, but I got some gift cards, got Chili's gift card, got the Bad Boys for Life DVD. My mom got me that.
That's great.
Yeah, so we saw that. Yeah, so it was good. It's always good to be, to be recognized. As you said, I got to rest. My wife cooked a nice meal yesterday. Had corn on the cob. Had some pork chops, and so that was really good. So I had leftovers today. So it was a great. It's always great for the Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to everyone, and it's always good to be even as an uncle or mentor. It's always good to be recognized as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So for me, I got a few surprises. I was wanting to go out of town and do something, so we went to San Antonio. That's about 4 hours away. We did social distancing, everybody. We did have masks on.
That's good.
We had a good time. Went to the Riverwalk, went to the Alamo. The Alamo is actually being reconstructed and going on. Got some great gifts, got some Air Maxes, got a nice short set. Got also a phone tripod, going to start shooting more videos and things like that for BS3 Radio. So it was great. Parents got me a gift card, so I'm happy. And I think it's good to receive. I don't know about you guys, but as dads, I think we sometimes take the back seat because we got kids and we got a wife, and we kind of let them get more. But it was good being celebrated, and there was also a lot of dads, a lot of families out there, celebrating for Father's Day, going out to dinner and stuff like that. So that was really nice. So it was well worth it. I'm appreciative of everything I received. So, it's always good. So shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Shout out to all the dads. I want to make sure I did that. Also, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click that bell. You can be on top of all the content. If you're watching this live, join in in the comments. We love to hear comments and read comments. That's what we're about here on BS3 Radio as well. But today's topic which is kind of perfect timing, the players vote down MLB's latest proposal. The latest proposal, and now the question is, will there even be a Major League Baseball season? They were talking about 60 games. That was basically shot down. So now we're to the point where will there be a season, because they're not seeing eye to eye. The Major League Baseball Players Association and the commissioner and the owners. So I'm gonna start off with you, Courtney. This was kind of your idea with this. So talk about, man, just the state of Major League Baseball right now.
It's not in a good place. I'll tell you that. It's definitely not in a good place. I mean, it's players and owners. Usually, us as fans and us that who cover and do these podcasts, we usually on the player side because we look at it from the players getting paid. They're the ones that are playing. They're the ones that are they're making a lot of money. But the billionaire owners, they're the ones making the most money. So it's billionaires versus millionaires. A classic billionaires versus millionaires. So I've been going back and forth with this, but I don't think it's gonna be a baseball season. I really don't. It's looking more and more like it's not going to, because now if they were gonna do a season, they would have to have a deal in place now. I know there's still a little bit of time left, but they were talking about before it was supposed to be start after July 4th weekend. It was supposed to be the season supposed to start, but now they're talking now into July's, but there's no deal in place. So I think the state of baseball is in big trouble. And on top of that, you got COVID still running rampant right now in a lot of major cities. And they talked about the bubble, kind of like the NBA was going to do in certain cities, Arizona, they was going to go to Florida, California. So there was a lot of different places that they were thinking about doing where they have a lot of spring training, but that's not going to be able to happen because in Texas, Arizona, Florida, and California, the cases are rising. So, and then the Philadelphia Phillies, there was 5 players and staff members they had to shut down because they got hit with COVID. So I think you got that, and then you got the players and the owners fighting over money, where there's you got the pandemic and you got the unemployment. People, over 40 million people are out on work. So we're looking at them like, why are you guys arguing? I get it from the players' side. I really do, because they're saying they want their full prorated salary, but you're playing 60 games. Do you get your full prorated salary or not? 60, 70 games. So that'll be the question for me. But I really think, and one more thing, if they don't have a season, they're gonna have a hard time recovering because the last time they had a strike, it was in '94. It took years before they got their fans back, and it took a home run chase from Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. Now, come to find out, that's a steroid error. So it took that to get baseball even back. So yeah, I don't think they're. I have my doubts. It's going to be a season this year.
Yeah, and to add on to what you're saying, Courtney, there was probably steroids delivered to Sammy and Mark McGwire. They were like, "Hey, we need this really bad. So normally we don't do this, but let me go ahead and slide you some steroids in this Kool-Aid right here, so you can go ahead and tip that up." Right? But, yeah, I think it would really be hard to recover because Major League Baseball, obviously, they need fans. They play so many games. So when you think of the amount of games that they play, that factors in a huge part of the money that you make. So if you're only playing 60, you're not going to get all your money. But also, there's I think there was 40 different players or something that have tested. I mean, you got to think different cities, numbers are rising. As much as they probably lay low, there's still cases. So there's money and there's COVID-19. So there's a lot of reasonings to why. Just like we've been talking about with Major League, with NBA, there's a lot of concerns here. But Al, go ahead and touch on this.
I think it's very disappointing. Very disappointing. I think this was the one sport that if I was to bet to come back between the four major sports, this would have been the sport to come back because baseball is not much of physical. It's physical, but it's not a lot of contact. Like football, you have your helmet, very physical, violent game. Basketball, very physical game. Hockey, a very physical game. And for these owners and players to come back and reject this offer, and this offer didn't go through, what is really going on? Number one, but also lets me know that if I'm not mistaken, there's a bargaining agreement coming up next year. So there may have been certain cracks, maybe a couple of years back, that's now COVID-19 kind of exposed a lot of the tension going on between the players and the owners. It's kind of exposing some things going on in the contracts that we don't know, that indirectly is now coming out, and we're now seeing this, and there's no agreement. I think of baseball should have been back. Baseball probably should have been back in May. There should have been a deal done, and it probably could have been done. But now you got the uptick in COVID-19 cases, so you got a lot of players hesitant to vote for this particular plan because of health concerns. So you got to respect that particular part. But it's just also the lack of planning and figuring out a location. I think that's the other issue. Baseball didn't really have another plan to implement when it came to playing in these bubble cities or playing in these certain areas. And so between the money, the planning, and then cracks in between and trust between the owners and the players, it's telling me a lot of what's really going on in baseball. And yes, the 98 thing with Sosa and McGwire, that really saved baseball.
Yeah.
They got nothing. I don't think nothing can say it. They ain't got no McGwire.
Right. And no more Barry Bonds.
No more Barry Bonds. No Ken Griffey's. None of that.
Right.
I mean, the closest person, I mean, I guess you could say Judge. Judge is one of those.
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout. Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing like what those days used to be. And I think baseball had more publicity, and they were probably higher up on the totem pole, I think, during that time too. So baseball, this would be a major problem for baseball if they're not able to get this season going. But even Manfred coming out and saying he doesn't even think this is going to happen, and he's the commissioner. So if the commissioner of the league is saying he doesn't think it's going to happen, there's a strong possibility that this may not happen.
And like to add to that, Ben, that they got to get it in because you don't want to be playing baseball in November and December.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's going to come to a baseball game for a snow delay? instead of a rain delay. like really. And so, and you got to get it because they are predicting that it's going to be an uprise in cases by October and November, flu season. Yep. So if they don't get something by Friday, man, we can cancel it. That's just my theory.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I mean, now that the players have rejected the final offer by the MLB, the owner can now implement a season. He can now officially implement a season of length that he chooses, right? And they're pushing for this 60-game season for the reasons that was stated, right? Because of the idea that the cases of corona, along with the flu season coming, will be projected really high. You have weather coming in October, November, those things. So they are trying to shorten the season for those reasons, But I think for the players, I think the biggest issue is, like I said, the prorated salaries. I mean, with the offers that the MLB is giving, none of these players are going to make nowhere near 50% of their salary. With some players only making 20% of their salary. Like, that is crazy. To play 60 jam-packed games, and risk your life, because there is still a possibility you can get infected. We've already seen training camps already been shut down because they've already had coronavirus in their training camps. You know what I'm saying? So there's a big risk that the players are taking in this situation as well. And to be told that the max you'll probably get is 48% of your prorated salary, that's a big blow. You think about, I mean, even for the smaller players. So smaller players is not as much. You think if you're a player that's making like $2 million a season, okay, now you're only making $1 million. Still a lot. It's definitely still a lot, right? But imagine that player who's making, 70 million this year, and now you only making 30 million. Man, I'm looking at my check like, I don't know if I really want to pay 30 million. And then after you take the taxes and stuff, now you get 15. Like, I don't know if my life is worth that all of a sudden now. Even though, if you ain't never had that type of money, it sounds great. But when you make this money on a regular, you're like, yeah, I don't really want to play for 15 million now. So we're gonna, like I said, is there going to be a season? We don't know. I think the commissioner is going to just kind of, now he has the power to kind of just push his hand and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, whether you like it or not. So we're going to see. But, I mean, it looks ugly. As you guys stated, the last time the majors dealt with a strike, it didn't bounce back for a long time. I mean, I know I wasn't looking at baseball for a while. Yeah. And the thing was, I wasn't a super huge baseball fan in the first place. But then once it was off TV, I was like, well, what's the point of me watching now? Right, it's gone. It's over.
Right. And the biggest thing is baseball is unless you're a diehard fan, you're not watching it on you only go watch it on TV if you're a diehard fan.
Or to the playoffs. Right.
It's an event you go to, just like NASCAR. How many people watch NASCAR unless you're a diehard fan? Baseball is kind of that same thing. So if you don't have any games, I mean, you're not piquing the people's interest. But to Tyon's point, the commissioner can just say we're going to do this, kind of like what the NBA is doing, because they're like, we're having this whether you like it or not. Show up if you want. Show up if you want to or not. This is still going down. If it's going to be a whole bunch of third and fourth string players playing, that's what they're going to get, because we're going to do this regardless. Go ahead, Ty.
I mean, and what you're saying, it refers to just the idea that, this is all about money, right? Like, this isn't necessarily about making fans happy per se, or giving these players the option of playing, like, hey, we need you to kind of get out here to get whatever you need to get off your chest and, enjoy yourself and stuff like that, which is, these games are for fun, you know what I'm saying? But all these, the majors, MLB, NBA, and even NFL, man, they're thinking about their overhead. They're thinking about their money, their profit margins, things like that. The money that they have to lose if they don't have a season, because those TV deals they have to satisfy, right? I think, with the majors bring in like $10 billion in revenue, outside of the stadium. You know, that's from TV deals, that's from sponsorships, from all those things. They bring in $10 billion. So that's $10 billion down the drain if they don't have a season. And they ain't trying to lose $10 billion, you know? So
that's way too much money to just be thrown away.
Exactly. So this is what this is about. You know, in all these situations, it's about the money. It's about getting our overhead, getting our profit. And we need these players to be there for a certain amount of games. We're going to give them just that amount of games so that we can get our money. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the players, they want 72 or 79 games or something like that. So the owner's like, yeah, we could have had that if we would have got this deal done beginning of June. And as you said, you don't want to go into October, November playing baseball in the winter in December. And now you're going against the NBA. You're going against NFL. Baseball is already struggling with ratings as it is. So, you know, if they try to get this deal done, they playing 70, 80 games, and it goes into the NFL season and to the NBA and hockey too, because I think the only major sport really gonna come back. I mean, the NBA, I think the NBA will, but hockey's like the only one we haven't heard too much about. They said, we're going right to the playoffs, 22 teams or 20 teams, I think it was. We're going right to the playoffs. We're doing a tournament, and they talking about going to Canada. And so they're like, we can play, because I know, hockey is huge in Canada. But we go to Canada because they doing it right with trying to, you know, social distance and things like that. So right now, you know, they're lowering the spread of that. So they're saying we can go to Canada, we go to Minnesota, and they said a couple different places. But baseball, they got to find a place, or are they going to be playing in each individual city? That's another major thing. Yeah,
and I think when it comes down to with baseball is you gotta have that excitement. Number one, which is going to equal home runs, but also, you know, where they play their spring training and all that is mainly in Florida and Arizona. Now, Florida's numbers are going up, so do you really want to put it there?
That's a hotbed.
Yeah, really. Arizona right now, I think they're, you know, from the news clip that just came up earlier today, I think their numbers haven't been going up, and so I don't even know. I'm sure they got to be talking about that aspect of it. But if you don't have a good location for people to watch it, and then number two, if you don't have the top players out there, because I'm not seeing a lot of players being vocal saying I'm doing this or not. Obviously, they haven't come to a deal, but the Mike Trouts of the world, the Bryce Harpers of the world, we're not hearing them saying anything. We are seeing them more active, I think, you know, in police brutality and police reform and kind of those things that are going on right now. So that's another part of it. Are we going to start seeing top players saying that they don't want to do this? And, you know, I pose that to you guys. Have you seen any players out there, you know, speaking up or saying anything about this?
I feel like it might be like a domino effect. And I'm piggybacking off of other leagues. Like today, Trevor Ariza for the Portland Trail Blazers, he said he wasn't going to Orlando. A Washington Wizards player said he wasn't going to Florida for the restart. Bertans, yeah. So I believe it's going to be a domino effect. And so I believe in domino effects can even affect other sports. Here is my idea for this restart. Why don't we just do an all-star game and just do 7 games? The best players from the National League and the best players from the American League have like a 7-game series. The money, you know, you pay the players a certain amount. The rest of the money go to charity. You have a home run derby, maybe do something like that to because right now is 60 games is a lot. If you do 60 games, you definitely want to do maybe interleague. And then you have to figure out, well, how are we doing a 3-game set here, 4-game set here, a 2-game set there? So maybe do like an interleague type deal where you be able to, if in them 60 games, you play all the American League teams, all your National League teams, vice versa. They probably need to come up with a better strategy. But if you want baseball, maybe do like an all-star, a best of 7 all-star series, and maybe even bring some of the minor league players up to play, those who haven't been affected by COVID, and make it like an all-star bash, maybe for like 1 or 2 weeks, and go from there.
Well, I think the biggest issue, like I said, the biggest issue is money, right? Like, I think there's a certain threshold that the majors have to hit for them to get that money. And I think that 60 games might be that threshold, which is why they're pushing that 60 game thing so hard, right? They haven't suggested less games. At one point, they were saying that they could do more games, but 60 games has been that fixed number for them. It's literally been, hey, 60 games, y'all take it. That's 47% max of your salary. Some people gonna get 20% of their salary, and that's what we gonna do. And you take it or leave it. And the players have been pushing, and it looks like the players have been pushing to at least get 50% of their salary. Right? I think that's what we've been seeing is the players have been pushing enough games to say, hey, this will get us 50% of our salary. We're willing to do that, but we're not doing any less than that. And so, now, like I said, you about to see the fallout of all of this, man. It becomes a big deal if some of those big name players don't show up. Right now, people are looking at it like, hey, baseball is going to be back. Baseball might be back, just like with the NBA. It's like NBA might be back, et cetera. It becomes a big deal when a marquee player decides not to show up. If a Bryce Harper decides like, hey, you know what? Ain't no point in me playing this season. Let me go ahead and sit out. I'll play next season. I might as well go ahead and give up the $20 million that I'm going to lose this year and just make up $60 million next year. Like I'll play for my $60 million next year. No point in me playing for 20 this year. I can play for 60 next year. I'll play for that. So once that starts happening, then majors got a problem because I think that's when the sponsorships start coming in saying, hey, you know what? We need those marquee players up there so we can make our money too, so that we can then invest that money in you guys. So
yeah, let me get a couple quick shout outs. We got Jay Ray from formerly of Politics with Dummies. He's no longer doing that show, but he's of the No Phony Podcast Network. That's our family over there. Also, we got T-Rod. T-Rod is a big supporter, man, of BS3 Radio. Every single show. Set Point is his podcast. It's on IE Sports Radio. So shout out to those. But I definitely think it's a domino effect, and it has to start with one player. I think that's really it. It only has to start with one player. Also, we got Clutch Talk Sports Radio. Man, this dude's on radio, 105.3 The Fan here in Dallas. He's a good friend of mine's, and he's doing big things. He's also got a YouTube channel, so you can click on him and follow. But Major League Baseball has always been, as of late, they've been behind the times. They're afraid of bat flipping. They're afraid of too much celebration. Like you cannot continue to be behind in the rank and the tier of sports and expect to be successful. And I think that is starting to change maybe a little bit, but they're still like, oh man, get off my lawn. Like they still have that type of mentality when it comes to Major League Baseball. And to me, this is only like another thing to throw in there for them to basically say like, hey, you're not, if this season doesn't come around, which it looks like it's going to happen either way, but it's just a matter of what. And again, like every other sport, if one player gets it, coronavirus, COVID-19, what do you do? Like there's always multiple questions, and I think scenarios of how this could go. But I like your idea of the All-Star game. Obviously, the All-Star game will be coming up, next month, and you might as well. Like, are we really that gung-ho about trying to see a playoff, or do we just want to see some baseball? Do we just want to see some fun games? Now, basketball is different because they already started. They're already in their season technically. So we're finishing it off. Major League Baseball has not had anything. So if you even have, I don't know, if you do a College World Series type of thing, I would be okay with that. Doing it at, whatever location you want to have it at. But Major League Baseball needs to come out of this successfully, or they're going to still be behind the times.
Yeah, I agree with that because baseball, as you said, where they're at, like say in the rankings, if you go to Big Four, it's football, basketball, NBA, NFL, NBA. Then you can argue with Major League Baseball and hockey. I mean, I guess it goes in that order.
Which is sad.
Yeah, right. You know, baseball used to be the number one sport for a long time. People still say it's America's pastime sport, but football and basketball has got overcome those. You know, has been past those. So, but then you can argue college football might be more popular than Major League Baseball. You know, you got others that might say tennis is, you know, just to you know, I mean,
so too far now.
That's sad, man.
But you know, but for real, like UFC, boxing, you know, like, but baseball is they're like at a crossroads right now. So it's more, if they say if they don't get this deal done, something they're gonna be hurting like really bad. I think it's gonna take longer than 4 or 5 years to recover. It's gonna take a long time because I don't know how they will. Fans are already upset with them now because they're arguing over money and everything. Like if they started the season, say they started the end of July, and then they had to shut down because of a pandemic, then you know that's something you can't control. That's something that, you know, that's out of your hands. But anything else, if they don't just get a deal done, they're in a world of hurt. And to bring up, you brought up with the major players, if they say something, I haven't heard anything. The only thing, like Bryce Harper, he talked about, if we don't play, I'll go to the Eagles. Hey, y'all need a player or whatever. You know, so he said, I gotta continue to work out, you know, and I can make money. Y'all need a player, running back, or a receiver or something.
Practice squad, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So, but guys like him and Mike Trout, if they was to come out, Judge, or anybody like that, like you said, it'd be a trickle effect. If they said, you know what, we're not going to play a abbreviated season. You guys there's no trust between us and the owners. And I don't know. Like I said, it's a dark cloud over Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah. And let me read this comment right here. T-Rod put the nail on the head. If the Major League Baseball season doesn't have a season, it'll be another black eye for them. Just like pretty much what I said. Like you don't need more black eyes as Major League Baseball. You need more fun. You need to have a home run derby every single month. To try to make this exciting. But one other thing, I'll let you talk, Todd. There's a radio station here in Dallas, 105.3 The Fan. One of the guys on there was like, "Hey, his kid who plays baseball." He's like, "Hey, the home run derby's on. Do you want to watch it?" And he's like, "No, I'm good." Like the kid plays baseball, and he's not even excited about what's supposed to be one of the most exciting things about baseball. But
and don't forget the Houston Astros, that scandal too.
Ooh, whoa. That's this whole situation. This is perfect for them. It was like,
they done dodged the bullet.
Right?
Because they was gonna get it this year. They was gonna get it everywhere.
If they come back, it's gonna be like, oh, we didn't forget about you guys. Here you go. Houston Astros. Oh yeah, we still got y'all. You got y'all numbers. So, yeah, that was a big scandal. They're dodging right now.
Yeah.
Only thing I'm gonna say is if it don't come back, I'm looking forward to dollar games in the next in the near future. I'm looking for dollar a day games, man. Yes. Dollar a day games, brother.
And the Rangers just got the new stadium, so hey, I'm all down for it. I will pay that. But Courtney, to add on, the Yankees are starting to have this little rumbling of a scandal. Boston, and look, let's go ahead and talk about this. Like, every team does it, okay? Everybody that's out there like, oh, why are teams cheating? They've been cheating for years.
Wait. But every team does not record and then send smoke signals during the game. Every team does not
like beat on the trash can. I mean,
yes.
Yep. Steroids, pork bats, all this stuff, man.
Now there was teams back in the day where they would watch the signals. Somebody in the in the pitching in the warm up pitching section would be looking at the signals and this stuff happens, like, to what degree? But yeah, the Astros went to a whole new level. They took
another level, man.
Another level, man.
That's
wearing
true.
Video things in their shirt. you know, and then Altuve was like, "Don't take my shirt off, man. I got this." You know? He better deny it, but dude, he's like, "Oh, I'm just covering a tattoo." Like, really, you could have came up with a better, excuse than that. You know, you had some electronic device in your shirt. You know, you just didn't want to take it off. So,
Right. But Al, were you wanting to say something?
Oh no, man! I'm just thinking about that, the Houston scandal, and everybody talking about, hey, we want to be a clean sport. There is no clean sport.
Yeah, really.
Not basketball, not football, not college sports. College sports is the dirtiest out of all of them. Everybody getting paid. D2, D3, NAIA, they're all getting paid. So, and I had a guest on my show. I did at a sports talk with two of my friends, Malcolm Green and Jordan Cousin. And Jordan brought up the point about baseball and how there's cheating in every sport. And would we still watch it if there wasn't?
Great point right there.
He said, would you still watch it? Yeah. Because it's entertainment. It's entertaining. and you want the best, and you want the best stuff out there. Ain't nobody going to support a sorry team. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And honestly, if we're straight up honest, there's cheating in everything. I mean, there's cheating in elections. There's cheating in school.
Put it out there.
There's cheating everywhere.
Entertainment.
So, we as a society, we are okay with it. We're okay with it. We may not want to talk about it. We may not.
As long as we don't know. There we go. We okay as long as we don't know.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. And then it comes out, it's like, oh my gosh, what happened? And it's like, well,
really going on?
It's like, well, I'm not. Well, you know what? I wasn't surprised because then everybody cheats. So right. It's just, the goal is not to get caught. That's the goal.
Can't get caught.
The Patriot way. Right. As soon as they got caught, they went on to something else. They went on to some other thing.
Man.
Whatever. Another comment here. Without an MLB season, the casual MLB fans will fully lose interest in Major League Baseball, will never return. In addition, the diehard MLB fans will continue to throw Rob Manfred under the bus. Yeah, true.
They're doing it now. They're throwing Manfred under the bus now. Like 2 weeks or last week, he said, "Oh, it'll be 100% be a season." And then as you said last week, he said, "Oh no, I just don't believe it's going to be a season." So there's mistrust right there. So it's almost like, the players are like, "Come on, man, you're a clown, man." They clown him. Football clowns with Goodell, and some of these commissioners just are straight up clowns sometimes. But yeah, Manfred, he's going to keep getting thrown under the bus, and the owners they'll get rid of him if he doesn't agree with what they say, really too.
Right. Another shout out. We got Carnell Watkins. That is a great friend of mine. That's my daughter Ari's godfather. He's in here. He said, in the words of the late great Al Davis, "Win, baby, win."
Yeah, that's it.
Play to win the game.
Skeletor and the Chucky doll, both of them. But I think when it all comes down to it, I think we will have a season. But I do think players are going to start bowing out, just like what we're seeing in basketball. What we seen with Kyrie speaking up, what we seen with these different players speaking up, and also to Al's point with the weather, I think there was one game I can really think of. I think it was a playoff game with the Yankees. Maybe it was snowing. I remember Jeter was playing during that game, and it was snowing, and it was so weird that you see snow during baseball. But we probably are going to see it this year. We're going to have a whole bunch of sports at the end of the year, and they're all going to be kind of clammed in there. So this is whatever sports we get. I know we're going to be happy about it, but I think Major League Baseball is going to happen, as it's a matter of to what degree and what point it's going to happen. And when it as we continue to talk about Major League Baseball, did anybody see what was that called? Long Summer or?
I watched it on Saturday night. The documentary of the Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire.
Yeah, Sammy Sosa and McGwire. I didn't watch it, but what happened to Sammy Sosa? We gonna talk about.
Because I had to go back and watch Sammy Sosa's documentary, and Jeremy Schaap did the interview with the E60 interview, and Sammy said it's lotion that he puts on his face. He just said, I'll just put some lotion on my face. I like to put lotion. It makes my skin looks good, and that was it. I'm just sitting there in the pile, like, really?
Was that the one he kind of? Is that the one he walked out of the interview?
That was the one he walked. Yeah.
They're talking about him. Yeah, I remember.
Right. but watching between that E60 interview and Long Gone Summer, it's like McGwire has come out and admitted that he did take the steroids, but Sammy Sosa is still kind of in denial, like, nah, everybody was doing it. You know, he was making up. He's trying to beat around the bush, right. and that's why he walked off the set with Jeremy Schaap, because he got upset, and then he came back and apologized, but he never really answered the question. He just said, "Oh, this New York Times document has me saying that I took it, but everybody at that time, it was putting different things in their body, and there was really no random testing going on." So, according to y'all theory earlier, you know, they were just shipping supplements to the players, you know, because we need people in the stands. The home run ball, it was sexy back then, and let's get the home run ball. Everybody come on in and let's watch what happens. So, very interesting documentary, and people forget Ken Griffey Jr. was in that race for a while, and then when Sammy Sosa had that month of June, that was unbelievable. Because they had written off the drugs.
Yeah.
Go ahead out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh man, that's what it is.
Oh man,
that's what it is. But I remember that season '98, and they had written off. All they were talking about was the pitching of Kerry Wood. Yeah. And then when Sosa hit them home runs, now you're in a wild card race, and you're trying to go to the World Series for Harry Carey, and then you got Sosa and McGwire, and so you know they going back and forth. So very interesting, and even like McGwire and the stuff that he dealt with mentally. He was just trying to play baseball, but Sosa loved the cameras. If you look back at some of the interviews, you know Sosa loved the attention, and McGwire was just like, man, I just want to go to work. I'm just playing baseball.
I just want to do my steroids and play baseball.
Man, that's it.
Gotta keep honoring me.
Right. He was doing it, man. Like you said, I watched the documentary, and I remember the '98 season, and I was excited because Ken Griffey Jr. is one of my, if not my favorite baseball player. He's the only one clean. I mean, I just never heard anything about that, you know, with Ken Griffey. So, I mean, the swing and all that. So, I was rooting for him to get that home run record. But, you know, McGwire and Sosa, and then Bonds a couple years later. But I was all in. And I mean, we knew they was cheating. We knew they were steroid up and taking performance-enhancing drugs. But as fans, we were like, this is exciting. It got fans back in the seats. This was like just unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this. And, you know, McGwire back then, I remember during their World Series run with the Oakland A's, him and Jose Canseco and all, they were all on that juice. So, you know, and then Canseco, he wrote a book and he had a tour and then all this stuff. And he was calling all those players out saying, oh, yeah, we were doing all types of things in the locker room and, you know, going out there, needles and all this. We were sticking each other with needles. Like, wow, okay. Yeah. You know, and then McGwire, years later, he did admit that he definitely took steroids. We're like, okay, we already knew this, but
we knew you were super swole.
Yeah, right.
We noticed it.
Big head, you know.
That's basically like if you guys are in the rap, which I know most of us are. That's like the Brat when she came out. We was like, we do this. We've been knowing this since the 90s.
We could tell the signs of what was going on. We
already.
See, I think with Sosa, I think because Sosa actually got on the Hall of Fame ballot, he actually got some votes. You know, he actually got a percentage of votes. I think he does not want to admit that because once he does, it's over. Right? Like it's a wrap. And I mean, we've already seen, you know, McGwire more than likely is never going to get in the Hall of Fame, even though people can argue that he was probably a Hall of Fame player. You know, Sammy Sosa as well, you know, but the biggest one is Barry Bonds. I mean, you look at Barry Bonds, who, you know, we probably know, essentially we knew that he took him. He's saying he unknowingly took, the cream or whatever. He didn't know, but let's be real, and it's the part that I hate about like these writers and whatnot. Bonds before any indication, before any type of drugs was in his system, Bonds was a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Bonds was he was one of the best fielders on the field, one of the best hitters, stolen base. Like, he was everything. That dude was everything. You know what I'm saying? It is a travesty still that he is not in the Hall of Fame. I don't care. He could have did drugs forever at this point. I don't care. That dude was literally, he is a top 5 baseball player of all time. Period.
And then
There's
when they
no
had,
reason he shouldn't be him.
from 1990 to 99, I remember they were saying it was Griffey versus Bonds. Griffey versus Bonds. It's like, who's the best pure hitter? Who's the best outfielder? And then Player of the Decade, I think they went to Griffey, at that time, because it came up that Bonds they thought he was on steroids. But even Roger Clemens, he's another player that before Roger Clemens was a beast of a pitcher. He was a beast. And then come to find out, he never admitted. He denies every time. But like you said, it's like Bonds. These guys, they are Hall of Famers, and the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's another topic that the baseball writers, and they don't like putting people in the Hall of Fame because it's like you said, it's past their time. It's like they want to always, they got that old school mentality. Like, well, if you do this, you do this. But those 10 years, Barry Bonds, best player, probably, if not the best, second best player in baseball.
Yeah.
Easily.
We got a question, holding Barry Bonds out. I'm gonna give you 2 reasons. Number one, the writers did not like him. Okay, Barry Bonds was not one of these, like,
he was not a lovable person.
Yeah, he was not one of those, kissing babies and all that and signing. He did sign autographs and stuff like that, but he wasn't well liked. So that's reason number one. Reason number 2, I gotta say, it's the color of his skin. That's a lot of reasons why. A lot of reasons why people are blackballed, why people are held out. But let's have that conversation right now. We're talking about Major League Baseball. We still got time. Nobody has interrupted either one of our videos, so we still good. But steroids in the Hall. Like, there was a picture that came out and said, if there's not any steroids in the Hall, it would be empty, or there wouldn't be as many people. And I went back and forth on this, but I think my final stance is you still got to have the skill. Like, I understand steroids helps you get bigger. You still got to have hand-eye coordination. That's the reason why 50 Cent throwing out the first pitch and it went like wide left. Like,
not a baseball player.
50 Cent is buff and all that kind of stuff, but he doesn't have the skill. You still have to have the skill. So I think Barry Bonds should be in, Sosa, Clemens, all of those guys, because they still added to the game. They still made a difference in the game. They transcended the game. You can't talk about that era and not talk about Barry Bonds. You can't talk about pitching during that era and not talk about Clemens. You can't talk about hitting. And McGwire, me and Tyon growing up in the Bay, man, the Bash Brothers was huge.
Huge, yeah.
That changed baseball forever. And they, it's not like they were necessarily great people, but they transcended the game. And I think those people you got to put in the Hall. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Al, I'll go with you. Do you think steroids should be in the Hall? Steroid players, I should say.
I think they added to the game. That's all they did. And they, like, in that case, we had to go ahead and add Alex Rodriguez in the game, in the Hall.
Definitely, he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
And then let me say this one. Pete Rose, like this. It is ridiculous that he's banned from baseball. Man, they gamble all the time. Michael Jordan, we just saw The Last Dance and what he was gambling with.
Quarters bouncing up against the wall. Yeah.
Bouncing quarters up in the wall in the locker room. Come on now.
On this security.
But this doggone thing with these writers, not just, especially in Major League Baseball, like, where's the players at their vote? Do the players get a vote? And what's the weight of it? Is it 50-50 writers and players? Because what is we need to find out really what the criteria is of players getting into the Hall of Fame. Because, like, I'll give you the instance, and I'm going to switch sports for just a moment. Terrell Owens should have been at first ballot Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
No, it shouldn't have been no third or fourth time waiting to get into the Hall of Fame. So I really think it's a bias. I think it's jealousy, and we can even say a little bit of skin color, racism.
Oh, definitely.
They didn't want Barry, and they talk about Sosa and McGwire, but they forget about Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds came in there and wasn't just hitting. I mean, like Tyrann said, he was tearing everything up. The fielding, stealing bases. I mean, he can go neck and neck with Griffey as far as a player of the decade, and one of the nicest swings ever. So it's really a lot of issues with bias stuff, man. But Pete Rose need to be up in there too, because he transcended the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you. This is a country that loves to talk about forgiveness and let's forgive people. And,
right.
Yeah, they did this, but let's forgive them. Like Pete Rose, he did something horrible in the game, but to like ban this guy forever, I mean, to me that's a little bit too far, because he's not the first and only one. Again, he's the only one that got caught. A lot of people have been betting and all this kind of stuff. So, but Ty, I go to you.
I mean, just to piggyback off what you just said, it's like he did a horrible thing. Man, they got a whole city called Las Vegas, right? That does nothing but take bets and make money off of people betting every day.
Baseball too,
right. And that's off of baseball, basketball, football, soccer, horse racing, whatever. I mean, you can bet on how long this show is gonna stay on the air in Vegas if you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So gambling is a part of American culture. It is a part of American culture. Like, to ban this dude for that amount of time for betting. He said he never bet on him. He's like, I never bet on us to lose. Like that wasn't my objective here. Like, I wasn't coaching to lose, fool. Right. I made some money, but like I never was like, oh, we about to lose this game. Like, nah, I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, I thought that, for me, that's just been ridiculous all this time to keep that dude out of the hall and not even allow him to represent baseball, period. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the steroids, man, I mean, before there was steroid testing, I am pretty positive that there's players that was taking steroids, right?
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the 60s, 50s, 40s, whatever, right? Players always try to find an advantage within the rules. If you can find an advantage within the rules, you're going to use it. Whether we consider it cheating or not, it doesn't matter, because as long as it's in the rules, within the rules, it is perfectly acceptable. Before they put the ban on steroids, it was acceptable. Nobody said anything. They weren't testing for it. Nobody said. It was one of them things where it was like, look, as long as you ain't telling everybody that you're taking steroids, we don't really care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It didn't become an issue until all of a sudden people started being caught, right? And it became public that players was taking steroids. It's like, oh, that's dirty. You know what I'm saying? And, and then you have all the negative connotations behind taking steroids. You're not supposed to take steroids because it's bad for your body and all that good stuff, even though, they give you steroids for asthma. I got the strongest lungs in the world because I had to take steroids for, 5 years of my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right there with you, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you think about stuff like that, should that negate me from going to the hall? Like, I made the majors billions of dollars. Billions of dollars.
Yep.
Right.
Billions of dollars from hitting home runs. When Bonds hit that, what was it, 73 home runs?
73, yep.
When Bonds hit 73 home runs, I bet you every TV was glued on his game.
Yep.
It was glued on his game. Whenever the game came on, we were glued to it, right? Because we wanted to see him take one out the field. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to see him go yard. Everybody was watching. When the McGwire and Sosa race was going, everybody was watching. That generated so much revenue. They still benefiting off their revenue. Them TV deals came from that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They benefited. You know what I'm saying? Them huge TV deals that they have now. You know what I'm saying? Billions and billions of dollars. They benefited from that. How, as a writer, do you think it's okay to leave those guys out when they're the ones that push the push Major League Baseball to where it's at now? Yeah. They pushed it to be as profitable for these players getting $300 million contracts. Those $300 million contracts don't happen without that steroid era, period.
Yeah.
So,
And the bottom line is, if you're a writer, maybe you play little league, but you haven't played at this level.
Right.
So how did it even come about that you got to vote in the first place? My whole thing is it should be former players, former managers, former anybody in the sport that is actually doing something that knows the ins and outs of the sports and what it takes. They should be the ones voting. And I'm pretty sure they would be in. All these people that we're talking about will be in regardless, because of what they've done for the game and their pure skill. It comes down to the skill. Like steroids can that's not going to help you with hand-eye coordination. That's not going to help you paint the corner with a fastball. That's not going to do that. So to me, it's just I think it comes down to jealousy, and that's when we talk about when we talk about a lot of these players, they're jealous that these riders are jealous that they can't do that. That's what it comes down to.
And then just to add to that, what you just said, I totally agree with everybody what they said. It seems like it's personal too with the baseball writers. You know, when they vote, it's like I said, it's old school. It's like old school white guys. I mean, let's be real. It's probably old school white writers that was back in the 50s and 60s. What baseball used to be was a white man's sport at that time. And see, now there are some blacks, there's a lot of Cubans and things like that, but these guys are Hall of Fame players. These are all-star caliber players. Bonds, A-Rod, you know, you got all these guys, McGwire and Clemens, you got all these guys. They put up numbers, Hall of Fame numbers, so they should be in the Hall of Fame. And then when you get these writers that take it personal, I mean, look at you had Ken Griffey Jr., who should have been probably unanimous Hall of Famer, you know, getting 98.7%. We're like, we always talked about he's going to be the first unanimous Hall of Fame player. But one voter has some personal vendetta or whatever, or something he made up probably that he said, they can't do that. I can't do. And Derek Jeter, another one. He's another guy that should have been probably unanimous, but he got 99 point whatever percent because one writer writes for the Red Sox. That's a personal thing.
Right. Ridiculous.
You're supposed to be like, it's supposed to be, you vote. You're just voting for. He was a great player, so you get him in 100%. So you got the Pete Rose thing, as you said. That's another thing. How is the all-time hits leader not in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Yes, he served his time. He apologized. He did everything he could. But now they're still thinking, well, we don't know. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. That man should be in the Hall of Fame. Point blank. Period.
Yeah. And maybe. You know, maybe Pete Rose got an inch of black in him because they treating him.
What a clown, man!
They treat him like he part black, like he got 0.99%. Like they did an ancestry on him. They was like, a little bit black than you. But I think you were the last one to touch on steroid players in baseball Hall of Fame.
Man, it goes back to they call it the purists. Where you peer in this particular area, man. It's a doggone shame, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. We need to go to the Players' Choice Awards, the Players' Choice of who should be in the Hall of Fame, a senior committee full of players for baseball in general. Like we need to go back and find out the rules and regulations. Okay, you have to wait maybe 5 to 7 years after your retirement. We need to the stats. What did you contribute? Like if we look at Bonds, if we look at McGwire, all these TV deals was because of them. The reason why I began to start watching baseball was because of a Frank Thomas, a Ken Griffey Jr. I was into trying to get the Ken Griffey Jr. video game just because and watching movies with Ken Griffey Jr. Like he had the backwood hat and the swag, but you all still want to stay the same, or you can't. Flip your back like that boy in Toronto. Who was that? Jose
Batista.
Yeah. You know, he brought a style with that. You know, he was excited, and people got upset about that. You got to be able to change with the times. You have to be able to understand society. It's like a fashion trend. Like white tees are not popular right now. Everything is stuff with the holes in your jeans and stuff. You know that was popular in the 90s, but that's come back out now. The whole flat top, the kid and play style with the hair. You know, that wasn't popular back then and when I was in high school, but now it's popular again. You have to be able to understand your audience. That's simple business practice. You have to study psychology of people and what they like and what they don't like. Like especially the generation under us. You know, their attention span go like this. If they're not into something after 5 minutes, you in trouble. So you gotta be able to like study this type of stuff. You gotta be. Everybody wants to about the numbers and this and all the BS. I'm gonna say it like this: it's a lot of this stuff with this people out of the Hall of Fame is a bunch of baloney and BS. You have to be able to study these people. You got to be able to like study the market and overall. That's why baseball is not America's pastime. That's why the MMA has passed them up. That's why golf has passed them up. That's why tennis has passed them up because they have not studied the market. Serena, I got two words about tennis: Serena and Venus. Okay,
right. And Tiger Woods.
And the sad thing is, you'll know who Venus, Serena, and Tiger Woods if they were walking down the street before you know who Mike Trout is, or before you know who you
Conor McGregor.
Like that's the biggest part about it. But you hit the nail on the head. You have to move with the times, unless you're gonna get passed up. MMA has been so successful because they give you the best fights every single time. If you want to see this person and this person, I don't know how Dana White does it. He's just one of those people that he's able to get deals done. He gets the deal done. He got Conor McGregor to fight Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match.
Right.
Like this dude is he does whatever it takes, and Major League Baseball is not willing to do that. This is an old man's game.
Purist.
Exactly.
The purist.
And it is not equaling to success. So that's it right there. Baseball won't change unless they lose enough money.
That's a doggone shame.
And they took advantage. They took advantage of the home run chase of Barry Bonds, and they took advantage, as Tyon said, they took advantage of the '98 home run race with McGwire and Sosa. They took advantage of that. They knew what was going on. They made enough money, and they said, "Look, we are just going to take advantage of this. We got all these TV deals and all these things, but if they don't have a season, they're gonna be in a world of hurt."
They're going to get it. I mean, they're going to get the brunt of all of this. They're going to get the brunt of all of this.
Yeah.
And some of these, if you think about losing a year, like that's losing part of people's prime too. That's losing Bryce Harper's prime. That's 1 year away from. That's 1 year loss of his prime. Trout. I mean, all of these guys that we've been talking about, that's losing out on their prime. So. Major League Baseball, you gotta move with the times. I'll like I said, have a home run derby every single month. I don't care if it's the random guy on the roster. Just do it to give some excitement to the game, which they just fail to do that.
I'm gonna give y'all a history lesson. I have to cut you off, Ben. They had home run derbies back in the 60s. And so I used to watch ESPN Classic, and they had a home run derby each week with the top players in the league back in the 50s and 60s. They need to bring that back. Like what happened to those days? And I think they did like a full 6 or 7 innings with home run derby at Wrigley Field. Matter of fact, I think that's where it was located, and brought the best players in. It used to come on ESPN Classic each week.
Yeah. I mean, like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for someone to tell you that it's a good idea? Like, you got to start thinking out of the box, or you getting left behind. But man, great conversation talking about Major League Baseball, which the story just broke probably an hour before we came on, which is like perfect timing. Thank you, Jesus. Jesus looking out for us on this one. Yeah, a slow pitch. He gave us an underhand softball for us tonight. But basically it's they didn't agree that the vote is not passed. We got one other question though. Hey, would people come to see scab players? Just asking. And I think he's talking about Major League Baseball. That's a good question. Would they come and see replacement Major League Baseball players? I don't know.
I think I would. I think fans would. I think fans are clamoring for anything these days. So
they had cornhole on ESPN.
I was watching it. I was watching it. Yes.
In the cornhole finals, in the cornhole championships, one of the guys had on some Dame Lillard shoes, bruh. I was like, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was watching cornhole.
Had Dame shoes on, man.
Yep, I'm watching cornhole. I'm watching whatever it takes.
I'm not watching. If you're talking about Major League Baseball, I'm not watching Major League Baseball with scrubs. Now, I would probably watch. I've done it plenty of times with football, AAF, XFL, all these leagues that tried. I watch that. NBA, I probably watch it too, though.
But you know, the difference between that is when you watch like football, basketball, those games are more exciting just in general, right? They're more exciting. There's more athleticism involved, more things like that, right? That are on display like immediately. With baseball is an extremely skilled game. If you don't have players that aren't skilled, man, it's just boring. I mean, it's already hard enough to watch on TV. First and foremost, it's hard enough, right? Like I said, I watch baseball sporadically. Like if there's like a good pitcher on, you know what I'm saying? Because I really love to see good pitching. You know what I'm saying? When you see a pitcher who is just like a master at controlling the ball and throws, you know, just all type of gas and/or like cutters or whatever, that's exciting to me. Right, but like I said, I enjoy that aspect of the game. If you start just putting any type of player out there, man, and your product is watered down, man. Especially for baseball, it's a watered down product. So yeah, you probably not going to get, you know, too many people watching scab players play, man. They're gonna tune out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They probably will. I mean, it's just like you said, just people are just clamoring for sports, so they are, like you said, they're watching like cornhole. But from a gambling perspective, DraftKings. I mean, I do DraftKings for tennis. I do it for golf. I do it every week because I'm just like I just want to see sports as much as we can. So if they did like replacement baseball players, the product would be terrible. But it wouldn't be a lot of people watching. It would be some people watching some of it. I think, you know, because even people are watching there was a Chinese baseball league too. They're watching that too.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of that. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that. That's pretty good.
ESPN was pushing that. Like, major. It was like, bro, this is not in the United States.
Right.
Baseball league, but hey.
Something like that, 5 a.m, and people are watching.
Yeah.
All right, 17 minutes ago, Andy Martino, who covers the Yankees, Mets, Major League Baseball for the SNY network, says Major League Baseball announces it is proceeding with a season. Tyon brought that up, and I mean, the commissioner has the power. He can say, let's go ahead and push forward with it. Whoever shows up, shows up. And I think ultimately that at the end of the day, that's what these leagues are going to do. That's what the NFL is going to do too, because it's money. At the end of the day, it's money. You need to bring in as much money as possible because you unless you don't want the whole league to be canceled, period. So you got to make the money and recoup as much as you can. So that was a story 17 minutes ago. That was a tweet by Andy Martino. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Well, great conversation as always, guys. If you got anything else you guys want to add in, Tyon, what you got going on this week?
Man, you know what? I'm actually going to be working on some protest stuff out here. We're actually in the next 30 minutes, we'll all be gathering in downtown Oakland, actually going to protest in front of the superintendent's house for OUSD.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're currently pushing for OUSD's police department to be defunded. You know, we only have about 6 police officers in OUSD currently that works with the school district. We kind of want to get them out of there. We don't need them there. It's money that's being allocated to something that we don't need. Besides besides we have Oakland Police Department that's kind of messed stuff up anyway. You might as well just call them anyway. It's no point in calling. You might as well just call them anyway. But we definitely we have a lot of SSOs. We have school site officers who actually develop really, really good relationships with the students. And that's really what we need. We need people who are developing relationships with the students, not coming in and creating, very aggressive, hazardous environments with our students. So that's where our goal is right now. We're trying to redirect budget, redirect funds from there back into education. So that's where I'll be at today, and then helping writing petitions to do other stuff in the community.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up, Tyan. I mean, we have to be able to push, change, and make our requests known, make our demands known, not requests. Request was like 30 years
ago. Yeah, that was years ago. Now we demand it.
It's demands now. So I commend you, Tyan, and let us know, in the chat how everything went.
For sure.
And we'll keep it moving. Courtney, what you got going on this week? Also, your show from last week. Talk about that too.
Yeah, the show from last week had sports media, women in sports media. Definitely had that on. That was on Saturday, so check that out. BS3Radio.com. At Get the Real Deal on Twitter. Had Cynthia Conti. It's her third time on the show. Boxing writer, reporter. YouTube. She has a podcast and YouTube channel as well. And also had Julie Fayer, who worked for the Golden State Warriors. She was a social media coordinator there. So she worked there for 6 years, and then she worked for the Ringer. So she was on the show. So we just chopped it up about that. Like I said, just sports media topics, things like that. No show this weekend, so I'm gonna be back home. My niece graduates high school.
Whoa, congrats.
Yeah. So going home, and then we have a graduation party, grilling. Nice. So can't wait to do that. Got to put my skills to the grill once again. So celebrate with family,
Grill master.
Yeah, trying to be, man, trying to do that. So definitely gonna celebrate with her and the family. Trying to do it's gonna be a little crowd, not too many people. So but other than that, I'll be back next week with a show. But yeah, just gonna be doing that this weekend. Cool.
Al.
So I've been rebranding. I formalized the casual highlight under an umbrella called Highlight Sports. And so I put a logo out, started some t-shirts. But the theme of Highlight Sports, the mission statement is creating a legacy while uplifting others. Every day every one of us on here has a time where we create different highlights in our life. So the biggest thing has been just rebranding, putting the Highlight Sports together. I am putting together a show about the George Floyd impact and what's going on with Black college sports, because a lot of people forget about Black college football. Before there was the big time, everybody pushed to Division I and Division II. Black players can only be at HBCUs.
Yeah.
So just researching about the different college coaches and how now is the time, and now you actually have players who were big time college stars at these college basketball schools. You got people like Juan Dixon at Coppin State. You have Bentley, who used to play for Duke. He's at Howard. You have Mo Williams, who's at Alabama State. You have Lindsey Hunter at Mississippi Valley State. So you have players with the pedigree of NBA experience and coaching experience and D1 level now coming back to HBCU institutions and giving back. So I'm just going to touch on that with the George Floyd impact and how athletics has changed and how they look at themselves differently in a different perspective. Whether are you helping me or are you just exposing me and don't care about me after I've served my time in whatever league that I go to. So the death of George Floyd affected the world worldwide, and especially not just entertainment, but in sports, because now we're not just a number. We're human beings, and it's sad about George Floyd's death, but it's a blessing because people's eyes are opening up. Like, hey, I didn't know that major athletes had these issues growing up. It's like people weren't paying attention. So that particular episode, the George Floyd impact, look out for that this week on the Casual Highlight podcast, because I hit a lot of stuff, bro. I go back to my time in Baton Rouge in 2016 with Alton Sterling and how I began to just pay attention and watch Colin Kaepernick. Like, I just started writing, man. This stuff it was pouring out, bro. Like, I think I'm gonna get out a lot of my feelings on this podcast. I'm gonna just let it loose.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Raw uncut.
That's what we do. That's what we do. We let it all out. Today, man, I was just talking about the situation with Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
It was just and look, I'm gonna say this, man. These are old tactics. Like, people, anybody watching this, like, these are old tactics. This is stuff we've been seeing for years. And I read Bubba Wallace's quotes, like, this is not going to scare him. This is not going to deter him from doing what he does. So yeah, you can try these tactics that we've seen before. It's like Satan. It's like the devil. He tries the same stuff over and over again, expecting you to fall for it and trip over it again. But today, you've seen how all of the, I don't know if all, but the majority of the NASCAR drivers walking in solidarity next to him.
That's
so
beautiful.
This person was probably not expecting that to be the outcome. NASCAR, NASCAR is bringing a lot of new fans, probably a lot of new black fans, because they're standing up for the lone black driver that they have. They're standing up for him and standing in solidarity with him, which I'm blown away. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe NASCAR's been listening to Brad Doherty more or something. But they've been figuring it out. So power to NASCAR, what they've been doing. But coming up for me this week, I got an interview with I can't pronounce his name, but he's the communications and media relations director from Team Canada. Be talking with him. We'll be doing a YouTube video, and then also, doing continuing to push BS3 Radio. We got the merch out, BS3radio.com. Click on Teespring. You can find some of the clothing that we have. So I'll be working on more gear for that. And man, we just keeping this going. We got new shows coming up, new shows coming on in July. We got the Ear Hustling podcast with Eric and James. We also got Curls and Sports with Erica Fernandez. She was on our last video. Also, my dad and my mom will be doing a podcast as well. So, BS3 Radio is growing, man. We're welcome and open to new people coming aboard. Whatever it is that you talk about, we're open. We want this to be broad and not just about sports, not just about this one topic: sports, music, life. That's what we do. That's what we talk about. So, thank you everybody for watching this. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click that bell. Enter into the BS3 Radio year of giveaways. We're still giving away gift cards, restaurant gift cards. So I'll have all the instructions and the links, or you just subscribe here, screenshot it, send it to me. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, screenshot it, send it to me. Join in for the email list. Either one of those three ways. And we're just going to keep it going. So, Ty, as always, appreciate you.
Man, thank you for having me on as usual, man. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Courtney?
Yep, thank you, man. Thanks. Love these conversations, man. So appreciate it.
And Al, man, as always, glad to get you back on. You were gone for a couple of weeks, so we're glad to get you back. Man,
it's good to be back, man. It's a pleasure being with you gentlemen, talking sports and life.
For sure.
Yeah, next week, Al hit the nail. He did a little bit of a preview. We could talk about HBCU sports and how players are starting to come back to HBCUs, which would be massive. Power 5 is getting nervous. Power 5 is trying to. Power 5 is loosening up some palms so they can give you some more $100 handshakes. They're trying to figure out how to glue $100 in their hands so they can get more money. So we're talking about that next week. You guys have a good one. Make sure to subscribe, click that bell. Appreciate all the people watching, tuning in, commenting. BS3 Radio, I'm gonna say this last thing. BS3 Radio now has 40,000 downloads and plays. It's been over 4 years, man. This has been a great journey, and all you guys that have been joining in, it's been great. So we appreciate all the listeners, viewers, commenters, all of that, man. We love you guys. Guys, have a good night. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.